This afternoon, as we had been told before lunch, that each group will be presenting. Uh, the presenters will be nominated in your group. One of those that whose name appears in blue. So I believe we have all completed what we are given, the questions that were given. So can we have a volunteer to start off the presentation this afternoon?
I think we have to start. And first of all, maybe I'm very glad to be appointed in a short period of time. So I hope this presentation will be, meaningful and helpful in some way. So, but first of all, I have to thank the group contributions and especially our supporters, chairpersons, and all what we have been contributing. Thank you for the. So what we assigned is the develop an asset management plan. So my topic is on the screen. We're going to develop how to develop an asset management plan. And just before I get on, it's my apologies because I haven't brief reading those and they asked me to stand here and present this, and maybe I need their assistance as well. So the first thing that we have to consider is the clear objectives, and it's all there. What do you want from HAM plan? What's it? HAM? What is it? HAM? Asset and management plan. The objective that must be clearly defined and understood. We have to recognize that an asset management plan must be used to add value to business. We have to consider key stakeholders, end users, budget purposes, regularly regulatory requirements, fundings, expectations, timelines, and risks, and those are the ones that we consider under the clear objectives step. And please correct me if I'm wrong. And on the second stage, which is the table stock of existing asset, what is the data that needs to be collected? Dependent on type of asset and at components level, which in this case the locations, where is the asset located, is that I'm correct? The type of asset and subtype of an asset and so forth, which is written there, floor plan, sorry. And it's go on to identify which agencies, ministries have been existing data banks, consider the records management system to maintain data integrity and security, demographic data considerations, establish clear system for data corrections. So when we come up to the second step or second stage, or how we call it, priority asset, we're going to prioritize our asset. And to prioritize our asset, we have to develop a framework to enable prioritizing asset based on legal applications, the risk, we have to consider the risk, fundings, how to get a fund, or social impact, what the impact, economic impact, environmental degradations, what is essential to delivering service. And the last part, which is strategies for the asset. Am I correct? We have to develop an asset type, dependent on asset type. What are the overhatching, what's that? Overhatching policies and objectives. We have to develop their strategies accordingly. The house sourcing, second, self-administered funding sources. And the last part is engage stakeholders. I think that's the end of the presentation I can share with you this evening. And hope if you have question, maybe these people can answer you. Or maybe if I could.
Thank you. We don't have the presentation, but I'll talk. Firstly, I'd like to thank the organizers for this wonderful opportunity to come to Fiji for the first time and to be one of the participants in this very important symposium. I've actually learned a lot in the yesterday and today, so I'll be taking a lot of things back to PNG, so thank you so much. My team leader has decided to pick me to present, so I don't know for what reason, but I sat very close to him, so thank you for the opportunity to present. Actually, our topic is on the private sector involvement for developments in public sector asset management. And there were 3 questions that my group members, they have been very helpful in putting some points together, so I'll say, and if I miss anything, my group members get ready to assist me. The first question is, what are the conditions under which the private sector could be asked to manage public assets? I, for one, believe that the PPP concept is a good concept, but it's how the government frame and it's how the government frame, design, and deliver that will help the government to achieve the better outcome. For any PPP to progress or achieve the results or deliver the right outcome, the first thing that we looked at was you need to have a right legal framework. You must have the robust regulatory or legal framework that will guide, and whatever the contract that is designed must be within the legal framework. The second thing is the contract or the agreement must have the business capacity. You need to look at the contractor or the agency who will be delivering. They must have the capacity to deliver. You need to look at the resources that they have, whether that resources is capable of delivering the required the contract or the outcome. And we also need to look at the wealth of assets that they have. Is that enough to deliver the outcome at the right time? And the other important thing that we looked at is the capacity. Does it have the capacity to deliver? Because in most cases we know that sometimes projects are not delivered due to capacity issues and other related issues. So capacity is the important thing that will drive the project outcome. And we need to look at the history of that particular contractor. Does it have a good reputation? Does it normally deliver on time? So those are some of the requirements that we need to look at. And then communicating the government's expectation. We need to communicate that clearly to the project, the contractor will be delivering, so that it must know the outcome of the government. What are the people's expectations? What is the government's expectation. That has to be communicated clearly also. So that was on the first question. The second question is, what are the terms which the private sector should comply with to ensure effective management of public assets? As I've said, private sector, and they need to comply with the legal framework that is set by the government. Sustainability of the contract is another thing that we look at. There must be upskilling of locals, and local involvement is also important, because once the project is delivered, it will be in the hands of us to maintain and look after in the long run. So we need to look at upskilling the locals and local engagement. Comply with issues such as environmental impact, social issues, political issues. All this needs to be considered as well. If there is a change in the government, then that project must continue to deliver the quality outcome. They need to comply with the environmental rules and regulations that is in place to deliver the outcome. Otherwise, along the process, they might disturb our environment, and we will have the long-term impact. Quality output. The contract must be delivered at the expectation of the government. It must be quality, and durability is another thing that we need to consider. That's on question 2. Question 3, there must be clear KPI. For long-term contract, it must be closely monitored. There must be random checks to ensure contract is correctly implemented as per the plan or the agreement. Measuring the outcome. Ensure that the outcome is clear. So if the contract is for 5-year term, then we have to measure it, like for every year we have to measure and ensure that the what is being delivered is quality and to the standard and to what the agreement says till the end of the contract. So there are some remedial actions that need to be taken if the contract is not delivered as expected. Then one of the things that we need to we looked at is the penalties. So there can be a lot of all kinds of penalties that you apply, but one of them is the cutting of the payments. So if the contract is supposed to be delivered within that period with that amount, and if the contract is not done to that satisfaction, then we need to inform the contractor and deduct the amount. Bonus payment, if the contract is done to the expectation and to what we expect, and if it is beyond, then we need to pay bonus to encourage the contractor to perform the good work. Performance audit is another one that we looked at. That in every progress we need to conduct the audit to ensure that what they have delivered is to the expectation and its quality. We might look at the face of the work and say that it's quality, but we need to really do a thorough check to ensure that it is quality and up to the standard that we require. I think that's all I have to say. So anything that I missed, the team members are there, so they can help me out. Thank you.
Good evening. I'm presenting on behalf of Group 3. And before I present the results of our discussion this morning, this afternoon, let me thank all the speakers and BICPA especially for organizing this forum. I think it's a very informative forum and would be of very useful to us from the Pacific Island countries. I got appointed to be speaker because I was the only female in the group, so you have to bear with me. And because I've done the summarizing, I will have to ask the assistance of my group members to correct me if what I'm presenting is not in line with what was discussed earlier. Like I said, I'm the only female in the group, so my name is there as the only female. Sorry, I can't use the pointer thingy. Vika didn't turn up, so I had the privilege of the. I just got informed that there were questions that we needed to answer, which we didn't. So. So whatever, we can discuss as a group the questions, because those when. Okay. So when we had the discussion, we were thinking, so where are we going with this? Are we supposed to come up with something? So what we agreed on was some tentative agreements on a way forward. But let me just give you a brief on what was discussed in our group earlier. What we realize is that from the presentations that have been given, and this is a fact from our islands, our budget is pretty much driving our maintenance program, especially in our infrastructure. And with asset register, that is driven by our financial reporting need. Not necessarily the need to manage assets, but because the auditors have said that you need to have a asset register, et cetera, et cetera. And I think in some ways we are starting off in the wrong end. We are starting from budgeting maintenance rather than planning and linking those plans and establishing priorities as a result of those plans. And of course, the fact that we must admit is that we don't have the technical capacity at this stage to value assets. And I'm talking about not from an accounting sense, because that's basically historical, but from an asset management perspective. And of course, as we all know, we do have some asset register, but in various mode, various level of completion. Some non-existent, others work in progress, has been work in progress for several years now. So, sorry, we didn't, like I said, we didn't have access to the questions, so we didn't really know what was needed. But what we were focusing on, and that was a topic that was given to us, is to provide a scope on what assistance we may need, what the form of assistance we can ask from donors. So, and this is my summary. The group members, of course, can stop me and correct me when they can, or if they want to. But from our discussion, perhaps on stocktake, Fiji has done a stocktake on infrastructure. Vanuatu is embarking on a project of evaluating I'm not sure whether it's total assets or just the infrastructure part. In all the other islands, and Tonga included, we are trying our best through the accounting mode. We are going towards the books, looking at what is recorded in the accounts, rather than doing evaluation as is done in Vanuatu and Fiji. So perhaps that's something that we could ask the donor to provide some assistance on. And because we realized the fact that we lack capacity in the stock management area, I think this is an area that donors will be willing, I think, to provide some assistance through the provision of technical training. And I stress, and we stressed, the fact that we wanted to focus on technical capacity, because what we have seen with our island experience is that the technical consultant comes in and then leaves, and there's a gap there, and the gap that was there before is still there after. So we wanted to change that a little bit. The alternative, of course, is to push capacity development through the PFM, that is, go through PFM because it's easier to sell. We could pick asset management as an area within PFM and push it through the accounting valuation, the accounting framework, accountability framework, or governance through audit. And that's primarily what has been driving the development of asset register in the Pacific so far anyway. It's through audit, it's through governance. And as I said earlier, we discussed on how this would be most effective. So we were thinking it's better for us to do a regional training because we're basically starting from the same base, rather than our preferred mode is a regional training, capacity building, rather than a technical assistance to a single country. And I think the regional mode allows us also to have a relook at what other resources are available from our island countries. They could be shared within the Pacific Islands as well. And I'm in accounting by profession, but I think the need for us is to move away from our profession and to look at asset management from its own, and not to do it as an afterthought or it's a missing part of our accounting reports. And of course, this is not going to be easy because we all have our government priorities, and maybe asset management is not one of them. And we need continuity both at political level and both at implementing level. And of course, it will take time. So I challenge you to the task. And I have my group members there to add to, if they want to make some comments.